Hi, it's Mike from Gear Diary, and we are expecting this coming week at the Apple announced event to be hearing about a new iPad mini. All of the rumor mongering been going on tells us to expect something in the 7.85-inch screen, so a little bit bigger than the 7-inch Android tablets we've seen, but certainly smaller than the just under 10-inch iPad. What it will be called, whether or not it will come out, and what the specs will be are still up for, well, we just won't know until they're announced. In the last gear chat that Dan and I did, he asked me, do you plan on getting it? And I said no. And he said he'll believe it when he doesn't see it. So what I've done is put together a little list of 5 reasons that I will not be getting the iPad mini, or whatever it is called. So let's start with the first one. Now I am actually recording this with my new iPad. This is the iPad 2, my wife's hand-me-down device. And it is a great size for productivity. 10-inch screen, you pull up a reasonable size virtual keyboard. I can actually touch type on that pretty easily. Again, it all works as a productivity tool. The correct size to be able to show people things, as well as to be able to actually get something done. So what the problem, so that's great, that's the iPad. So what is the problem? The problem is Kindle Fire HD, the Nexus. Both of these are fine devices, each in their own way. And let's unlock these things. But importantly, they are not productivity-sized devices. If I kind of let's head on home and pull up some sort of virtual notepad device, or even just the web. And if I go to type, you have a relatively small screen this way, as long as you're holding it in landscape mode. Go to portrait mode, and, well, it's not going to rotate for me, but there it goes. Go to portrait mode, it's even smaller, so it's just a little bit better than what you get, say, on the Galaxy S3. So it's a small, compromise type keyboard. It's just not a productivity-sized device. So that's really the first thing, is all of my stuff working with the Nexus, with the Kindle Fire, I've had to have an external keyboard, so I had the Logitech that goes with it. Now don't get me wrong, I do use, with the iPad that I'm recording on, I do also use an external keyboard a lot of the time. But when I'm working in the lab, when I'm out and about, I have absolutely no issue going and typing a full-size email, working on a post or something, typing directly on the glass. It's not something I want to do extended time period. Trying that with the Nexus, it actually greatly diminished my output. So that's really the first thing. The next thing is each of these offers something unique. So the Kindle Fire is my eye to Amazon. I've got the direct link with all the Kindle, with the Amazon Prime, and while I can view it on the iPad, I can't buy it. So I can just go here, open up my Prime, and go ahead and be able to do things. This is a Google Play Link device, so all of the normal Android market type things happen on here. Honestly, do I need another Apple iOS tablet, one that's bigger than the iPod Touch, smaller than the iPad? No, I don't. If I want something small and portable, I'd want an iPod Touch, especially the latest one with a 4-inch screen, still great portable size, ultra thin, good point-and-shoot camera capability, and so on and so forth. And if I want something laptop size, I would go for the iPad. Number 3, too many compromises. And let's be honest here, Apple wants you to buy whatever product they're putting out. We know that. But Apple is also very aware of the upgrade path. They're very conscious of 2013 when they're releasing products in 2012. which is something you don't see as much on other companies. So somebody like like Samsung with the Galaxy S3, Samsung, for the lack of a better term, just barfs all the features they can into every new product, which seems like a good thing, except for sometimes it doesn't work so well. You end up with underdeveloped, insecure, immature technologies that don't always work out as well, though, to be quite honest, Samsung's done a very good job with this device. Apple, on the other hand, while on their desktop machines was first with USB, first with FireWire, first to pull the floppy, blah, blah, blah. They've really always been ahead of the game on their desktop technologies. When it comes to their mobile, whether it's the iPhone or the iPad, they tend to be much more conservative about rolling out features. So long story short on that one, I don't expect to see a Retina screen. I think that's the first thing. I don't know if we'll see probably something on the resolution scale of the 800 pixel or full HD for like a 720 pixel HD for the Kindle Fire, the Nexus 7. I expect something on that order. I don't expect something that's going to rival a true Retina display. Camera is not going to be as good, likely. Memory, storage, possibly even RAM, which it would be a real shame if they do compromise on RAM. Apple has typically starved the RAM on their devices, especially the iPad. It's a real shame that we don't already have 2 gigabytes of RAM to allow for smoother multitasking and to give each app a little bit more memory. So I definitely expect to see those sorts of compromises and others. So I really expect it to be kind of a step-down device, something that I'm going to look at and say, well, it really isn't offering everything that my iPad does, smaller form factor and so on, and the other ones factor in. The next one is price. We don't know what the price is going to be. And I've read some things. I saw some things this week that say don't expect Apple to be concerned about pricing it lower than the iPod Touch. So a lot of us thought, okay, $299 is where they put the iPod Touch, therefore it can't be less than that. Well, maybe it can be. Possibly they could put out an 8 gigabyte iPad mini for $249. Quite possible. Or a 16 gigabyte, $299, $329, different things like that. So, but regardless, you've got devices like this, like the Nexus at $199, like the Kindle Fire $199. And it's not even so much that the price of $249 or even $299 is a deal breaker, but the question comes down to what are you getting for that price? Again, you've got a number of compromises. You've got Apple making a very calculated engineering decision on how they're going to position this compared to the iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad without, they want to cannibalize, or they're willing to cannibalize some of the market, but they don't want to cannibalize all of it. They certainly don't want to undercut the iPad. So you're going to be paying a premium over a Kindle Fire for something that you know is a compromised device. So that's a concern with me on the price. And before I get to the next one, well, I think that, I did say it, I think it was John Gruber's Daring Fireball blog, talked about the 3 things that Apple is likely to focus on. One is price, and the other thing is a thinness. To really go for the kind of thin, light, and inexpensive features similar to what they've done with the MacBook Air. Not give it all the high-end features, but really focus on delivering something that is thinner than something like the Nexus, lighter than the Kindle Fire. And that could very well be. I think that would be an interesting marketing position. So now my 5th and final thing is why? What is the compelling feature? So now we get more and more devices like the Galaxy S3, which is a 4.85 screen. In a couple weeks we'll have the Galaxy Note 2, 5.5-inch screen. I love reading ebooks on my Nook or my Kindle, 6-inch screen. Very readable. I don't have either ones with the glow light, but again, they're really good size for just ebook reading. Then you go up to something like the Kindle Fire, which is media consumption. Okay, so for me, this is Amazon, this is Google, they've got media consumption in that realm. So those are the compelling features. Amazon Prime is the Kindle Fire, Google Play, Google Nexus, iOS, iPad. What is a compelling feature? To get something that is kind of like the iPad, costs less than the iPad, but doesn't offer all the features. So I just don't get the killer. What's the killer appeal of that? So maybe this week will come and I'll be blown away by what Apple has to say and has to offer, and Dan will get to chuckle in my general direction as I'm drooling and waiting for my pre-order to arrive. But based on those 5 criteria, which are the 7-inch is not a productivity form factor, don't need yet another iOS device in this mid-range, the price, the number of compromises, and the lack of a compelling feature. So go ahead and chime in the comments and let us know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with these potential reasons? And what do you think Apple's going to offer? And then we'll see how we did. Are we right? Are we wrong? This is Mike from Gear Diary. Thanks for watching.